Chiropractic, we have the nervous system, okay? And now we're going to talk about an interesting phenomena that occurs, okay? So we go through life. Let's start at birth, okay? Birth is an experience. You may not remember it, but you definitely experienced it, or else you wouldn't be here.
Right, right.
It's a physical experience. It could have been quite overwhelming for you. It could have been quite overwhelming for your mother, okay? As time goes on, those first 2 years, you're learning to walk. Interestingly enough, when a baby's learning to walk, when it's crawling and it's wobbling and it's standing, it appears to us that the baby's learning to walk, but really what's happening is that the brain is developing, okay? So a lot of times when we help a baby walk, we want to see it walker than it could. The baby's not ready to walk. Not only physically, but the brain has not developed enough yet for the baby to walk, okay? So it takes that time, and then it's going to learn language or languages, and then you go through life, and you have to deal with the vicissitudes of being a kid. You know, maybe it was okay for you, maybe you were a very popular kid, very athletic, everybody liked you, but I bet you remember those kids, or maybe you were one of those kids that weren't so popular, that had a hard time in childhood. You know, that's a mental and emotional weight. Okay, so I'm talking about this now. You're going to see what I'm talking about in a little bit, how this all plays into our life. And then you go through the biochemical catastrophe of puberty, okay? That's where most mental disorders emerge, is actually puberty. And then you go through life, you go through your ups and downs, and then you enter the world as an adult. What that means basically is now you have to provide for yourself. And now maybe you have a family, you have to provide for your family as well. You have to go out into the world, you have to make money, you have to pay bills, you have to put food in your mouth, food in others' mouths, shelter over your head, and you know, maybe some of you want to do that in an abundant fashion. So there's all these pressures of life, there's all these experiences. You have physical experiences, mental experiences, emotional experiences, chemical experiences, caffeine, nicotine, medication, recreational drugs, and then all our experiences become chemical within our body, okay? So what happens is because we're having so many experiences, is that on an unconscious level we're getting overwhelmed. So all that information cannot be integrated or dissipated, okay? Integrated in our being so we grow and develop and evolve as human beings, or dissipated for the same reason, to grow and develop and evolve as human beings. So what the nervous system does, because the information is important, is it begins to store it. And it begins to store it as tension. Okay? And that tension begins to wind up that nerve tissue from the inside out. And eventually, it starts to distort the whole neurospinal system. Okay? This is a testament to how amazing the human body is, because it has survived all this stress for eons to evolve to the point that where we are now in history. Okay? But what's happening is that it's almost like we're walking around as instruments out of tune. Like you have a guitar out of tune, you could play it, but the music is not as beautiful as it can be. And that's a perfect analogy. That's a perfect analogy for humanity. Humanity is music, but yet not as beautiful as it can be.